The great Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius once said, "The person who follows reason in all things will have both leisure and a readiness to act. They are at once both cheerful and self-composed." This ancient wisdom holds a powerful lesson for our modern lives, a lesson beautifully illustrated by a story from the heart of the Roman Empire. Imagine this. In the rugged province of Hispania, two master architects, Cato and Valerius, were given the empire's most vital task. They had to build a great aqueduct to bring life-giving water to a drought-stricken city. The project was massive, a stone behemoth stretching across a deep valley. The stakes couldn't have been higher, as the emperor himself was scheduled to inspect the final keystone in just 7 days. Then, disaster struck. 3 days before the deadline, a foreman brought catastrophic news. The central pillar, the very heart of the aqueduct standing deep in the riverbed, had shifted. The calculations on their wax tablets were now horrifyingly wrong. The arch was unstable. The moment water flowed through, its immense weight would bring the entire structure crashing down. Valerius looked at the leaning stones and felt his world crumble. He didn't see a masonry problem. He saw the end of his life. He pictured the emperor's fury, the public disgrace of his family name, and the terrifying possibility of being thrown to the gladiators for his failure. Abandoning all reason, Valerius fell prey to pure terror. He stopped eating. He refused to sleep. He ran frantically along the scaffolding, screaming at the slaves and whipping the stonemasons to work faster, even though he had no plan for them to follow. His nights were spent pacing his tent, tearing at his hair, and begging the gods with hysterical prayers. His mind was so choked with the noise of his own fear that there was no room left for the geometry needed to save them. He had no leisure, and so he was never ready to act. Cato, however, stood before the leaning pillar with the silence of a statue. He observed the tilt. He calculated the weight of the water. He applied pure, unadulterated reason. "The riverbed is softer than we thought," Cato concluded calmly. "This is a fact of nature, and nature requires a counterbalance, not my tears." To Valerius's absolute horror, Cato left the construction site as the sun began to set. "Where are you going?" Valerius cried, his eyes wild and red. "Rome will fall upon us." "I'm going to the bathhouse to wash the dust from my skin, and then to sleep," Cato replied evenly. "I cannot speak the language of stone if my mind is screaming." Cato possessed the leisure of the reasoned man. By refusing to suffer the imaginary execution that Valerius was already living through, Cato kept his mind spacious and clear. He slept deeply, and when he woke, he was ready to act. The next morning, Valerius was a broken man, shivering and exhausted. He had accomplished nothing but spreading panic among the workers. Just as the sun rose, Cato arrived, wearing a fresh tunic and eating a piece of bread with a cheerful demeanor. He walked to the sandpit where they drew their plans. With a steady stick, he drew a simple, elegant curve. "We do not move the pillar," Cato announced, his voice calm and self-composed. "We build a flying buttress from the canyon wall to take the lateral thrust. It will hold." Valerius stared at the drawing in the sand. It was the only logical solution, so simple and brilliant, yet in his panic, he had been completely blind to it. "I haven't slept for 3 nights, Valerius whispered, leaning heavily against the crate. "How did you find the answer so easily?" "You were busy fighting the emperor in your mind," Cato said, clasping his friend's shoulder with compassion. "I was only fighting gravity. Reason gave me the rest I needed to see what was right in front of us." This story reminds us that in the face of our own crises, big or small, our greatest tool is a calm and reasoned mind. When we allow fear and anxiety to take over, we become like fighting imaginary battles and blinding ourselves to the real solutions. But when we choose reason, like Cato, we give ourselves the mental space to leisure, to see clearly, and to be ready to act with confidence. If this story connected with you, please like, comment, and subscribe for more content that explores timeless wisdom for modern challenges. Thank you for watching.